Is it WSR akisema? Akisema, I am not what? Mad.
I'm not a madman.
Guy.
Yes.
Panyamambo, what does that mean? He wakes up and he says, I'm not a madman.
The president must be hearing voices in his head. And he's responding to those voices. Because nobody has told him he's mad. Let's start there.
Do you have any politician who call him mad?
Nobody has ever woken up in this country and referred to our head of state, our beloved head of state, as a madman. So when he decides to wake up and say several times that I am not a madman, it means there are some voices he's hearing somewhere inside that are telling him you are a madman. And he's responding to those voices, and he's vocalizing it, and he's verbalizing it. And I keep saying it is okay for us to, if possible, seek help, just to know if really there are some voices that are speaking to him, where they are coming from and who they are, and if there's something we can do to help. We are willing to help, because he's the symbol of national unity. We don't want him to wake up again and say he's not mad, because it means he'll have heard that voice again.
That's not what you said last week.
What? You know that when it comes to matters of mental health, because when you talk about being mad, these are matters of mental health. No, by the way, madness is a mental health issue. So if someone says I am not mad, now you're dealing with a critical issue of assessing whether there's a mental health issue. And so you become balanced, you become polite, you become kind. Now this is Fanyamambo being nice and reaching out and saying, let us address this issue.
Okay. Sasa uyu Malala. Is he a politician? Is he a playwright? Where do we go from here? How can you ban this play?
He was first a playwright before he became a politician.
Yes.
And I think inspiration yake ya siasa hata pia we can credit it to his playwriting background. So for those questioning why he wrote, I do not understand. The only thing I can probably blame Malala is that he took advantage a little bit of the situation and the opportunity he had by using it in the play he wrote for the Butere girls. But Malala has been writing plays. Just that this time round it happened at the opportune time he would wish to hit back at whoever.
Which he did.
Yes, which he did. And got the best publicity ever.
And I remember there was a time when the news was just about that. You would go in and the same story is covered from all different angles. And it was a very interesting space to be in. Only that, first and foremost, we must commend Malala. I mean, I read Shamba la Wanyama when I was in school. And it was about George Orwell writing about what was happening in the then Russia. What Malala wrote is what is happening. I wish they were saying that some of the words he's put there do not belong to this country. Itoke Ramu, yende Modogashe, that was part of what's happening in this country. If Malala had come up with something fictitious and put it upon our country and said this one was said by the president, yet it wasn't said, then it would have been malicious. Why would someone have a problem with a play that depicts him as who he is and actually picks his words and everything and puts them to the fore? I think do good things when you're a leader, because when you do good things, people only have good things to post about you. Right now, they have been looking. By the way, I can imagine Malala had really looked maybe for something nice to put about his former boss, Akakosa. So he put what was available. So I can't blame Malala. I think the core problem is not that the play had that content. The problem is that the people who are fighting are the source of that content. Let them become sources of better content so that the next play for next year, we shall be saying Shah is working, written by Dennis Itumbi.
All these set books, most of them, rather, that zilikuwa tulikuwa nasoma when we were in high school, zilikuwa zina depict ama zina highlight the either vices or the virtues in the society. And see the curriculum institution ilikuwa inapeana. So they knew.
They normally approve.
So wanna approve. So why didn't they have issues?
And the adjudicators, by the way.
Your design. Kwa nini wajaikuwa na issues ya set books zenye zina depict the rot in the society, some of which ina point out to government institutions and individuals, yet just a play. This time round, did we ever have Moi Agi ban?
Never.
A play.
Never. And First Lady is a
An alumni
of Butere girls.
She should have been proud of whatever the girls were trying to achieve. Actually, and that's the tragedy of this government, is that they are deaf to anything that is critical to them. Anything that is critical, they want to crush it. They are not listening. And I want to imagine that if they would have allowed Malala to do his thing and perform and the girls, even won, very few Kenyans would have known about Echoes of War. Very few. Ingepita, because like we say, lots of us have lots of problems, such that at a mambo ya drama, high school drama, it just goes by, unless you are such involved like Malala is. But now that they blocked Malala, they threw tear gas at the kids, they threw tear gas at that school. Now journalists. Even journalists, even I saw you on air, Marianne Nyambura crying on air live, and now it became a national issue. It became a national issue actually. I saw on Citizen TV the following day, the 32 minutes of airtime Malala got. Prime time, 32 from minute 1 to 32.
Sunday
Live pia ni echoes of war.
Yes.
Actually, he was here even on Sunday.
With
He was here, and so. It is I think, like Sufuna said, sometimes Gava najishikisha handball. They do things that they do not they think they're helping themselves, but they are not helping.
The first lady is an alumni of Butere.
Yes,
girls.
a proud alumni.
And there's a play that is being played that has got the words of her beloved husband running through and through. Why is she not happy to hear her husband speak, through other people? She's telling us something. I mean, we were hoping that she, like, if my wife was to hear my voice being repeated very many times by other people, she'd be very excited. So I think there's a problem right there. But again, we go back to the whole issue. Why are you complaining about what these young people are saying? Why don't you focus on making sure that the next content is going to be content that everybody would be happy about? So the creators of the content are the problem, and Malala is not the creator of the content. Malala has just put together the content that has been available in the country. Actually, I would call him, he's the collector of the content, and he has coalesced it into one space. So Malala has made no problem. I think the problem is the people who have been doing horrible things to the country.
You have problems with Gen Z. Now you want to have problems with Gen Alpha again, because those are high school kids. They also start singing Ruto Must Go. Actually, they were singing Ruto Must Go in that school, at that school.
Correct.
That was left for clubs and the streets with Gen Zs and Akina Ruto at 12 when they are imbibing their drink. But when you take that to high school, next time you're going to take it to primary school, and just and the president was saying that we have a plot of trying to make children hate him. It's not about people who are writing the play. It's about what you are doing. Because, like you said, if we had left that play to go on and uninterrupted, nobody would have bothered with it.
No.
In fact,
we didn't even know it was nationals.
Exactly.
For drama. What is these echoes of war?
Yeah.
What is these echoes of war? And Leto did a beautiful piece trying to explain what it was.
He would simply have waited until the day for the nationals being performed at State House and told the deputy, you can represent me at these ones. And then he would have gone to China conveniently and said he's having an international meet. And so his deputy would have been there listening to Ruto Must Go and the Modogashe and all that barabara thing. But number two, and most importantly, these children complained. You remember they said they were taken to a place and the whole night they didn't eat.
Yep. And they were told to perform at 6 a.m.
Yes, when they wake up in the morning, I don't know who advises these people, because they don't understand that tear gas is not one of the delicacies that can be served in this country. Because when these children came in the morning and said they were hungry, this government fed them on tear gas. They thought it was one of the items of food that you can give a hungry child in Form 2 or Form 3. So they gave them tear gas for food in the morning for breakfast. For those who did that, tear gas is not a breakfast item. You should not give it to our children. That was incorrect. That was wrong. And the head of state would simply have made it very easy. Just wait for when the nationals are being performed at State House. He has a very able deputy. The deputy can go and represent him at State House and watch that play. And then the head of state would have been elsewhere.
After the president's sentiments yesterday, it became clear that he knew, he was in the know of what was happening.
Right.
Because he said, you are trying to make kids hate me. And that, it shows that he knew what was happening. He knew he was part of the plan that was trying to block that play. So you cannot talk about Itumbi and the handlers and Farouk. No, this is about the president. The president knew that the play was about him, and he tried to stop that play.
Which is a bad
thing.
First of all, Kalonzo saying that Ogolla was taken out. He said it in his own words. General Ogolla was taken out.
We have always suspected that there could have been foul play in Ogolla's death. It has taken the military a whole 1 year. The report
a whole year to put a report together.
The report they gave was as shallow as they get.
It was as shallow as a little puddle.
There was nothing in that report that tried to point at any, to try and point that this is what led to the accident, or if it was not an accident, this is what led to whatever the sabotage that happened. But this is a plane that had, according to the report, as shallow as it was, it says that that plane had 2 emergency landings in 2 weeks, successive weeks. And this is a plane then that you give the commander.
The CGS.
It doesn't add up.
I am imagining there was no investigations going on throughout the period. This is a government that is capable of saying they want something to explain why this happened, what is the opportune time to get it out, and then of course they can even go into the shelves and get one of the reports of someone who ever died in mysterious ways like Ogolla, edit it and present it to the public. I wouldn't be surprised, because you cannot by the mere fact that they saw the need of going for an investigation, it means there was all indications that there was some foul play in it. And therefore, for you to come and give people the narrative of there was a mechanical fault in the engine for a person of his caliber, I don't think that makes any sense. That is why it is laughable, and that is why I sort of agree with the Kalonzo's claims that he was taken out, but we will never know. Even if they went for that, they're saying for an open inquiry. Kenya has a way of the systems have a way of interfering with everything. Even if they did these investigations how many times, I doubt we will ever come up with a different report from this one.
Taken out could mean many things, including taken out of the country. I am one person who will take a lot of time, because I still think one day I might walk in the streets of Hawaii and meet with General Ogolla walking around there. We buried someone we don't know. The Luo have never come to closure because they didn't see the body. They didn't born with the body. They didn't. So all possibilities are open. Let us open our minds. Kalonzo said taken out, and he's a lawyer. And lawyers are very keen with their choice of words. So taken out could mean everything, including that, he was taken out of the country. So let's not just imagine that he's probably lying in a grave. Let us open our minds to all possibilities.
But you're not answering the fundamental question, Fanyamamba. Why was he taken out?
Even his appointment, it was ish. Will he be appointed? Will he not be appointed? And then Ruto said he's a gentleman. He rose above everything, and then he appointed him, despite the fact that we knew that there was some bad blood between him and General Ogolla.
Yeah.
Remember the former DCI boss, the one that was made to resign. Kinoti, yes. He was the same caliber with General Ogolla, and those other people were forced out of the office, but General Ogolla was promoted to the office, and so there was that uneasiness or kind of a relationship between General Ogolla and President William Ruto, and so I will understand where Kalonzo Musyoka is coming from, and the death, we were promised that the death is going to be probed and we are going to know the result in 2-3 months. Then it never happened. And then 1 year later, newspapers started writing stories. Journalists started asking questions. 1 year later, where is the report? And then from nowhere, we have some skimpy kind of a report that has...
Like a one-pager.
Yes. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up.
No.
It gives some credence to what Kalonzo Musyoka is saying. I'm told there are two ODMs right now. There's like Ford was before.
Yes, Ford Kenya.
And then they
and
came
Ford
Kenya and then Ford Asili.
Yes.
Yeah. So at the moment there are two Ford ODMs. There's an ODM that is Sifuna leaning. And then there's ODM that is Junet and Wanga leaning. And Baba is karibu anapasuka msamba kanyaga huko na kanyaga huko. He doesn't want to admonish Sifuna and he doesn't want to admonish Junet and Wanga.
Yeah.
And it played out during the funeral of former aide George Odwor. Yes. May his soul rest in peace. And Junet came with lots of praises on President William Ruto, and he said this government is a good government, and but Sifuna stood up. Sifuna said, Junet, you have said what you've said, but let me also say what I have to say as an SG. And he told the president the truth. He told him, this is our agreement. Our agreement says counties to get 450 billion, not 5 billion. Please adhere to what we agreed on that agreement. And he said, I know your work is difficult, but there are some mistakes. Mwibu wa kujidunga hauna pole.
Watu wanashika handball.
Watu wanashika handball, like, and he gave a perfect example of Nakuru incident.
Yeah.
He said, what was that? That your work is difficult, yes, but this is making your work even more difficult, more harder. And so and Orengo also came out and said, I will not be party to the praise and worship team of President William Ruto. So we have fought so hard,
all these years,
to open up our democratic space to go back to praise and worshiping of the president. And so there are two parallel ODMs. I don't know how long Sifuna is going to last. I don't know if Baba is going to step either side. That's also a game, and I think Baba loves that game that way, because he also wants to keep President William Ruto guessing. Is this guy with me, or will he bolt anytime? And so he wants to keep the president guessing, so that if he demands one, the president thinks that if I don't give him this one, I think he might bolt.
That's why he was showering praises on him throughout that funeral.
And for the first time, President William Ruto was showering praises on Raila Odinga, like you can't believe.
Yes.
Say, he came to me as a statesman. He was a man when I needed one. It will be good for the president if Raila Odinga sticks with him until 2020.
But Nyambo, will he stick with him?
First and foremost, you're also forgetting the politician that William Ruto is. I've always said William Ruto is not a good president, but he's an excellent politician, and he's wrecking ODM from within.
I thought it was the other way around.
No. Look at it this way. You think William Ruto came into a marriage with ODM without also having plans behind him? I can tell you, Raila has come into this government knowing what he wants. And what he wants is to pull a 202 move, where he left with Saitoti and Kalonzo and many others. Actually, he went into Kanu and left with more people than he had gone in with. And he's planning to do the same with Ruto. You can take that to the bank. Write it down, he will do the same. He will leave this government with more people than he came in with. But at the same time, William Ruto is also getting into a marriage of convenience with Raila Amolo Odinga. And I wouldn't be surprised if Junet Mohammed has not been having private meetings with President William Ruto. So President William will look at those people who are very transactional and money-minded within ODM, and he will keep them close to him. And that's why there's this guy who has the name of a pain bum, who keeps saying things that are not very... you look at him and you're like, is this the same guy I used to know?
Who is this guy?
He shares a name with a pain balm. Now, ODM is being wrecked from within by William Ruto. So give credit to him. I've always said he's not a good leader, but he's a good politician.
The indications William Ruto is giving his fellows in UDA is a wrong one, by the sense that he's even getting them worried. When William Ruto, not once but twice, keeps on reminding the country, because it is not about him reminding ODM or UDA that I am among the founding members of ODM. Ukikuja pole pole. You know, he's telling, because in the times we are going in, we are going to see rifts. That I agree. We are going to see rifts in this broad-based government, a split of some of the UDAs and ODM. But those that will be uncomfortable with this marriage are now entertaining the thought of supposing this guy tufike pale mbele, and then he's convinced by Baba, if we are giving him a hard time, to switch camp. You know, he's and that would be doing that would be wrecking UDA in its own. And then the ODM guys who keep saying hapo mbele tutaona, it gives you all the indications that there's nothing like they will work together to the end. So if anyone was to look at it with an open mind, I am thinking President William Ruto, where he stands right now, he is playing the cards of Mukicheza na mimi to the UDA people. I have an option of switching to this other camp, depending with how he will see things moving towards 2027. If people will still be singing Kasongo must go, and then Raila calculating to exit with more people like it is being said, there's a whole likelihood that President William Ruto may not seek the presidency in UDA.
Or he might be competing against Raila next round, Obuya?
It might not be Raila, but you know what Raila is doing right now is keeping the president guessing. You know, previously during Uhuru's time, you know, if you ever talked against that handshake and you are in ODM, you would have been dealt with immediately. You would have been dealt with. But now Sifuna stands up and says, Mr. President, mimi ndio Sifuna. and the crowd goes wild, you know. And for the president to then stand and say, usinizomee sana, ukikuja kuja pola pole. Because I'm a founder member, tunaweza ita wale founder members, then we discipline you. And so the president has taken note of what Sifuna is saying. And the president, it's not, the words Sifuna is saying are not going unnoticed.
Correct.
And so it will be very interesting because ODM wants to eat from the government. They are eating, Junet and Tuangas and Raila, but they also want to appear as if they are still in opposition. And so hence they need to have Sifuna, they need to have Babu Owino, they need to have Orengo and all those other figures. And so it's going to be very interesting as we near the next general elections.
Sifuna is a brand, as he said. I am the Sifuna. And I'm telling you all he needs to, and I'll help him. I offer for free because I believe in his ideologies. All he needs to is to package himself and says, we are the alternative leadership that Nairobi needs. And I have always said, Sifuna, wakishikana na Babu Owino, na Fanya Mambo, Morara Kebaso, a few young people who are coming. And we say no to this nonsense. This is a lot of rubbish that is coming from the old folk, and we are creating a new rift. Believe you me, all the young people will follow us. I keep saying, on the voters registers as it is right now, the people who are below 40 are 16 million. Na tujongeza wale watakuwa registered. If we decided to heaven with all these old crap, and we decided to heaven with all these old people, and we are going to bring in new leadership, na tushikane sisi wote pamoja, which we will because we've been having meetings. I promise you we will. This old nonsense is coming. Munaanza kutuambia juu ya watu walizeeka kina Wangamati and all the others. Ford Kenya tawe ilimaliza Ford Kenya. We are not going to listen to that. As young people we have decided.
Nani akakwa timu yenu?
Nani?
Customer.
Kasmuel. There's nothing. Okay, he's in ODM right now, but I think he hasn't been disillusioned enough.
Broad-based
has finished.
He has not been disillusioned enough to leave. But also we forgot something.
Nini?
As we were speaking about these things, we forgot that Sudan is also not very happy with us.
And
what we are doing with RSF. And what the president has forgotten, and God forbid, what if Sudan decided to declare war on us? We'd be having different conversations. Because what we are doing is we are getting RSF into this country. You've seen the headlines about the billions and what's happening. And because of the gold trade that we are enabling them to do, they are being able to now get money and acquire more weapons. They are buying a lot of weapons that will destabilize the Sudanese
That's
government.
terrible.
Do you think those people are going to be happy with us?
No, they won't.
We vetted the new experts yesterday.
What?
Ruku and the Cheptum.
The widow.
And the widow.
And
Yes.
the widow said that girls are being killed because of they are looking for money. And that was a very bad.
Oh, yeah.
But even Ruku, people are telling him that, you know, you don't appear like somebody who wants freedom. You appear like somebody who wants to infringe on people's freedoms. But again, they are going to be approved by the National Assembly.